As web developers and designers, we often know how to create simple navigation menu that can be used in projects like portfolio websites. But what if we need to implement a drop-down menu? There are multiple ways to create a drop-down, but in this tutorial we will focus on creating a drop-down menu using only HTML and CSS. Specifically, we will learn how to create a multi-step drop-down with an associated drop-down icon. To set up the navigation links, we will use the nav HTML tag. We'll wrap our main nav bar with a div with the class main nav. Inside this div, we'll create an anchor tag with the class logo to serve as our navbar logo. The navigation links will be placed inside an unordered list with the class navbar. Each individual navigation link will be nested inside a list item with the class menu item. To represent a navigation link, we will use an anchor tag with the class menu link. To create a navigation link with a drop-down menu, we need to specify a list item tag with the class's menu item and drop-down. Within this li tag, we'll add an anchor tag with the class menu link. Similarly, we will specify the class toggle dropdown that we will use to create a dropdown icon using CSS. To actually create the dropdown menu link, we need to create an unordered list with the class dropdown menu. Remember, this UL element is a child element of the list item with the class dropdown. To create links within the dropdown, we will specify a list item with the class menu item. Similarly, we will add an anchor tag with the class menu link. And that's it. We've just finished setting up the HTML structure required to create a dropdown. In the style.css file, I have already imported a Google font to be used for our project. First, we'll apply some global styles using the universal selector and pseudo elements. We'll set the box sizing property to border box and set the margin and padding to 0. These styles will help prevent unexpected margins, padding, and sizing issues. To enhance the appearance of links and list items, we'll make a few adjustments. We'll remove the default bullet points from list items by setting the list style to none. Similarly, we'll remove the default underline from the anchor text by setting text decoration to none. After that, we'll apply the Poppins font to the entire web page by selecting the body tag and assigning the font family property to Poppins. Next, we will style our nav element. We will give it a background color with a deep blue shade and apply a padding of 1 rem for the top and bottom while setting the padding to 0 for the left and right. Next, moving on to the element with the class main nav, we will apply specific styling. The maximum width of this element will be set to 800px, and we will use a margin of 0 auto to ensure the element is horizontally centered on the page. Additionally, we will set the padding to 0 for the top and bottom and 15px for the left and right. We will also establish its display property as flex, enabling the use of flex properties. To vertically align the child elements within this container, we will set the align items property to center, while also utilizing the justify content property set to space between to create spacing between child elements. Moving on to the element with the class logo, we will set the font size with the class logo to 1.4 rem for better readability. The font weight will be 800 bold and the color will be set to white. Likewise, for the UL element with the class navbar, we will set the display property to flex to align the child elements horizontally. Next, let's style the li element within our navbar that has the class menu item. We'll set its position to relative, which allows us to position any child elements precisely if needed. For padding, we'll apply 0 for the top and bottom and 1 rem for the left and right. Then, let's style the navigation link using the class menu link. We will set the color to white, the font weight to 600, and apply padding of 1 rem for the top and bottom, and 0 for the left and right. The display property will be set to block to allow the link to occupy the full width of its container. We'll set the white space to no wrap to ensure the text remains on a single line. Additionally, we'll include a transition for smooth animations when users hover over the link. Likewise, when the user hovers over the link, its color will change to yellow. Now that we have finished applying basic styling to our navigation link, the next step is to create the actual drop-down functionality. To start, we need to hide the drop-down link by default. The drop-down link should only become visible when the user hovers over a link that has a drop-down associated with it. To achieve this, we will target the unordered list with the class drop-down menu. First, we will set its position to absolute. To hide the drop-down initially, we will set the opacity to 0 and the visibility to hidden. Then we will set its background color to a dark shade of blue. We'll also set a minimum width of 150 pixels to provide ample space for the drop-down content. To create some separation from the parent element, we'll add a margin top of 15 pixels. Finally, we'll incorporate a transition effect to ensure that any changes to the drop-down occur smoothly over 0.4 seconds. To add a drop-down icon to the link with the class toggle drop-down, we will target its pseudo element. This pseudo element will be displayed as an inline block to ensure it sits properly alongside other inline elements. We'll add a small margin to the left of 0.255 em. To align it vertically with the text, we'll use vertical align middle. The content property is set to an empty string. For the visual effect, we'll use borders to create a triangle shape. The border top will be a solid line with a thickness of 0.3 em, forming the top edge of the triangle. The border right is set to 3 em solid transparent. For the border bottom, it will be 0. Similarly, the border left is also set to 3 em solid transparent. This combination creates a downward pointing arrow which will be used to indicate a drop-down menu. Now that we have hidden the drop-down link by default and created a drop-down icon, it's time to create functionality to show the drop-down menu when the user hovers. To do this, we'll target the hover state of the list item with the class drop-down and select the direct child drop-down menu within the hovered menu item. When the user hovers, we will change its visibility to visible, opacity to 1, and add a transition effect with a duration of 0.3 seconds and an ease in out timing function. With this, we have successfully created a single-step drop-down menu. Next, we will proceed creating multi-step drop-down menu. For this, we will create another list item within the unordered list with class drop-down menu. We will specify same menu item class and add drop-down submenu class to this list item. Similarly, we will add an anchor tag with the class menu link and toggle drop-down. This toggle drop-down class will be used for drop-down icon. Now let's create the second step drop-down menu. For this, we will create a UL tag with the class drop-down menu. Note that this UL tag with the class drop-down menu is a child of the LI tag with the class drop-down submenu. Now, within the UL tag with class drop-down menu, which is basically the wrapper class for our drop-down submenu, we will be creating navigation links. For this, we can simply create LI tag with class menu item, and for the anchor tag, we will be using class menu link. For other navigation links, I will simply copy and paste the code. In CSS, we will create an indicator icon for the drop-down submenu. We will target the pseudo element with the anchor tag, having the class toggle drop-down inside the list item with the class drop-down submenu. To create an icon pointing to the right, we will use CSS borders. We'll set the border top to 0.3 em solid transparent, the border right to 0, the border bottom to 0.3 em solid transparent, and the border left will be 0.3 em thick and solid. Finally, we will set the margin left to 5 em to create space between the arrow and the text. To show a drop-down submenu when a user hovers over a link with a submenu, we target the hover state of the list item with the class drop-down submenu and select the direct child drop-down menu within the hovered menu item. This will make the submenu visible whenever the user hovers over the menu item with a drop-down. Next, to position the submenu, we select the drop-down menu element, which is a child of the drop-down submenu class. We set the margin top to 0 and the left to 100%, which places the submenu directly to the right of its parent menu item. Lastly, we adjust the top minus 10 px to position the submenu slightly above its default placement. That's a wrap for our tutorial on creating a multi-step drop-down using HTML and CSS. It's been a straightforward and easy guide suitable for all skill levels. You can find the source code for this project in the description. If you enjoyed this tutorial or have any questions, feel free to drop a comment.